Sí.
Vamos a comenzar. Hoy vamos a repasar los verbos que terminan con AR y ER. Vamos a repasar el alfabeto que aprendimos ayer y vamos a aprender muchas cosas nuevas. Vamos a ver los verbos que terminan con IR, la palabra por, los días de la semana y los meses del año. ¿Ustedes tienen preguntas acerca de las actividades de ayer? ¿O de lo que aprendimos ayer?
No.
¿No hay preguntas, Kaylee?
No.
No, ok, muy bien. Bien, take turns asking each other these questions here.
Well, then I gotta move my videos. I'm blocking everything. There we go. Okay. Let's see, Kaylee, ¿cuánto cuesta vino?
Cuesta el vino.
El vino.
Ahí está bien.
$6.
Dólares.
Dólares.
Muy bien.
¿Cuánto cuesta jugo de naranja?
El jugo de naranja.
Naranja. Okay, so naranja is just orange.
Anaranjado is the color orange.
The color orange. Okay.
Naranja,
Naranja.
naranja is the fruit orange.
The orange. Okay.
El jugo de El jugo de naranja cuesta $3. Kaylee, ¿cuánto cuesta la refresca?
La refresca.
So it's el refresco.
El refresco?
El refresco. $1. ¿Cuánto cuesta? What is la cerveza?
La cerveza cuesta $5.
Bien. Sigan.
¿Cuánto cuesta el sándwich?
$7. Okay, it's not Dolores. Is it Dolores?
You're saying pain.
Okay,
seven
I'm caught up on this. Dollar.
So the sound is an O-A. One of the hard parts is there's the accent on it. So the emphasis, it needs to get punched in up front. O-A. Dólares.
Dolores. ¿Cuánto cuesta empanada? Is that an empanada or is that a
empanada?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So you're using the articles here. ¿Cuánto cuesta
Okay,
la empanada? How much does the empanada cost?
La empanada cuesta $4. ¿Cuánto cuesta ¿cómo se dice ice cream?
El helado.
El helado.
Muy bien.
El helado.
El helado cuesta $2. Dolores. How is it spelled? I'm sorry. I'm like getting so caught up on this word.
So actually, don't worry about how it's spelled.
Okay.
Because that's going to confuse you. That's
You think
part
so?
of the,
Okay.
That's part of the problem, right?
Okay.
Because you're confusing it with how it's spelled and you're confusing it with the English word, right? So if you just, sometimes when something like this isn't working for you, it's best to just close your eyes and listen to what I'm saying.
Okay.
Dólares. Mm-hmm. So it's phonetically, it's an O-A-A. O-A-A. But the emphasis comes on the first. So again, it's unnatural because naturally it falls on the second to last syllable. This is coming on the first syllable. O-A-A. O-A-A. Oh,
Dólares. Dólares. Okay, sorry.
Fine.
¿Cuánto cuesta la pizza?
La pizza cuesta $8.
muy bien. Can you tell me the alphabet?
Together, separate? How do you want this?
Together, yeah.
Okay.
A,
B,
B,
C,
C,
D,
D, A,
F,
F,
A,
A, H, E.
E. Oh,
I don't know what J is.
I forget J.
I don't know what J
Ota.
is.
Pota.
Ota.
Ota.
K,
K, L,
L, M, A,
N, A,
N, Y,
N, A,
O, U,
O, O. P,
P,
Key,
Q.
Ku,
Q,
Ku. R,
S, A, T,
A, U,
U, U, V,
V, double,
V, doble,
V, double.
aquí,
Key,
X con S.
aquí,
keys.
aquí,
Uh,
yay,
Yay, is that it?
Yeah. Mhm.
Okay.
and
Is
zeta.
that Zeta?
Zeta. Okay, muy bien. All right, take turns with each other with these questions. So Margaret to Kaylee, number 1.
¿Cómo te llamas?
Me llamo Kaylee.
¿Cómo se deletrea tu nombre?
Se deletrea K, A,
A.
Y, L, E, R,
A.
A.
Okay, so now Kaylee to Margaret, the next 2.
Okay. ¿Cuál es tu apellido?
Apellido.
Apellido.
Es Emerson.
¿Cómo se deletrea tu apellido?
Apellido.
Apellido. There is no N. Apellido.
Se deletrea oh my gosh. A M A R S O N A.
Weird.
¿Cuál es tu correo electrónico?
Es Kaylee Turnwald @gmail.com.
Take turns asking each other these questions. Kaylee to Margaret.
Okay. ¿Cómo se dice to talk?
Hablar.
And now ask her the same question, the next question. ¿Cómo se deletrea?
I asked Kaylee.
No, Kaylee to Margaret. So
Oh, sorry.
Sorry.
¿Cómo se deletrea?
Oh gosh. H
muy bien.
A B L A R. ¿Cómo se dice to walk?
Caminar.
¿Cómo se deletrea?
C A M A I N A R. ¿Cómo se dice to run?
Correr. Is that right?
Yep.
¿Cómo se deletrea?
C O R R A R.
R-R-E-R.
R-R-E-R.
Ahí está.
¿Cómo se dice to learn?
Aprender.
Aprender.
¿Cómo se deletrea?
T, R, E is not
A.
E, A, N, D, E, R. ¿Cómo se dice to write?
Escribir.
¿Cómo se deletrea?
A, S,
A.
A,
Escribir.
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 A, I just want to
S.
say A. A, S, C, R, E, B, E, R.
Yeah. Let's stop real quick. Let's go back and review a little bit these this stuff. Give me 1 second while I find this. All right. First and foremost, just to review a little bit your vowel sounds, right? Because these 5 letters are consistent in the Spanish language. They don't change, right? So we have here A,
A,
E,
E,
I,
E,
O,
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 U,
U,
A,
A,
E,
A,
I,
E,
O,
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 U,
U,
A,
A,
E,
E,
I,
E,
O,
O,
U.
U,
A, E, I, O, U.
A, E, I, O,
O,
U.
U.
Okay, so that's the first step. If you don't know your vowel sounds, it's going to be just about impossible to speak Spanish or to do anything else, right? So you were, I can put that into the example. So you were asking me about this word, dólares, right? Now, what I like to do, anytime there's a question of how to pronounce something or a word like this is giving us trouble, highlight the vowels, right? So that's what I was doing for you earlier when we were talking about this. So we
O,
get
A, E.
O, A, E, right?
Dollar.
Go back to the, if we go back to the vowels, right? A, E, I, O, U. Here we have O, A, E, right? Dólares, dólares, okay? When it comes to spelling, remember that almost every letter produces the A sound, right? It's a little confusing because you're thinking A is like the letter A for us. When we say A in Spanish, we're referring to the letter E, right?
Mhm.
And then the E sound is our I sound. So if you're confused about this, there's good reason to be confused about this because some of these are kind of reverse from the way we say it in English, right? So that's why I always say, go back to those 5 vowel sounds, A, E, I, O, U. If you get hung up on something, if you get hung up on a word, the word that always gets people initially, right? That's one of the first words that gets all of my students, you know? So if you just highlight the vowels, you can say this word and then you can speak Spanish, right? So what do we have here? An A, O.
O.
O. I mean, we don't have a word like that in the English language, right? We don't have a lot of words that have that that can have that repetitive vowel sound all throughout the word, right? So, no worries, just slow down, focus on those 5 vowel sounds. A, E, O, U. And no matter what the word is, I promise you'll be able to get through the pronunciation if you isolate those vowel sounds. Second step here we're spelling stuff, right? And I said this yesterday, the alphabet's a long chain of random sounds. So it's hard to learn, it's hard to memorize. But I think if you remember that almost every letter is going to produce that A sound in some way, right? If we have our vowels, A, E, O, U, almost everything is A, okay? Repeat after me, be,
Bay.
say,
Say.
de,
Day.
Day.
A.
efe,
F-A.
he,
Hey.
ache,
H-A.
ele,
L-A.
eme,
M-A.
ene,
N-A.
enye,
N-A.
he,
Hey.
r,
R.
ese,
S-A.
te,
Te.
ube,
Uve.
w,
Uve doble.
ye,
Yay.
right? So almost every letter produces that A sound. You have to pay more attention to the ones that are outside, and there's not a lot of them, right? You've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 letters that are outside of the regular sound. So we've got 4 for the sound A. Repiten. A,
A.
Ah.
jota,
Jota.
Ota.
ka,
Ka.
zeta.
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 You just got 2 that produce the E sound, right? Like E,
E.
E.
equis.
X.
1 for O,
O.
2 for U. Ku,
Ku.
U.
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 Was that helpful?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
So if we come back over here to this activity, right? Can you try and spell to write again? Escribir.
A. 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 S-A. Se. R. E. B. E. R.
Muy bien. So now Margaret to Kaylee.
¿Cómo se dice to receive?
Recibir.
E. So now
Oh.
ask the next question, Margaret, to
Oh,
Kaylee.
sorry. ¿Cómo se deletrea?
R. A. C. I. D. I. R. ¿Cómo se dice to live?
Vivir.
¿Cómo se deletrea?
V. I. V. I. R.
Muy bien.
¿Cómo se dice to argue?
Discutir.
Muy bien.
¿Cómo se deletrea?
D. I. C. V.
You skipped the letter S. Go back to the beginning.
Oh, I sure did. D. I. S. A. C. V. T. I. R.
Muy bien. All right, let's review our verbs. Hablar. Yeah, Margaret.
Yo hablo, tú hablas.
Caminar.
Yo camino, tú caminas.
Correr.
Yo corro, tú corres.
Good. By the way, if we're going through this and you're not sure what one of these means, please let me know, okay? Aprender.
Yo aprendo, tú aprendes.
Good. All right. So that's a quick little review of our AR and our ER verbs. Now for the final regular verb type, which is called an IR verb because it ends with IR. Vivir is an example, which means to live. Okay. So if you want to say I live, the first step is to chop off that IR ending and we get our base, bib. And then we add back O for I, yo vivo, I live. Here we add back ES for you live, tu vives. IR and ER verbs are almost identical. We'll see some changes in the future, but for the most part, they're identical. So, vamos con vivir. Margaret?
Yo vivo, tú vives.
Kaylee? Escribir?
Yo escribo, tú escribes.
Recibir?
Yo recibo, tú recibes.
Discutir,
Yo discutio.
discuto,
Discuto. Tú discutes.
vivir.
Yo vivo, tú vives.
Ok, vamos a practicar. Kaylee, número 1.
Yo hablo con mi mamá.
Say that again.
Yo
Hablo.
hablo.
The H
Oh,
is silent.
no, yes, hablo. Just reading.
Tú caminas en el parque.
Yo corro en el gimnasio.
Gimnasio.
Tú aprendes español.
Tú vivo en Denver.
Otra vez.
Oh, tú vives en Denver.
Muy bien.
Yo escribo un correo electrónico.
Tú recibes mucho correo basura.
Basura.
Yo discuto con mi esposo.
Muy bien. Take turns with these questions.
Hablas con tu mamá mucho.
Sí, hablo mucho. ¿Caminas en las montañas?
Sí.
Give a full answer, Kaylee.
So, sí camino en las montañas.
Montañas.
Montañas. Corres en el parque cada día.
So again, check this out, right? You got the vowels. O,
O,
A.
E.
That's the sound you want to make. O, A. Corres.
Corres en el parque cada día.
Every time you get stuck on a word like that, because it happens, right? Sometimes, you know, the little cables that connect the brain that are connecting the dots, right? You get a cross cable or something like that. Or, you know, some of this is muscle memory too. There's over 50 muscles in your face. And, you know, we don't have a word like that's O-A, right? We don't have, so you might know, right, that the sound you're supposed to make is O-A, but when you put it into practice, the tongue doesn't move that way, right? It comes out jarbled, right? So anytime something like that happens, isolate those vowels, O-A, because now you're training, like, if you look at me when I say this, and I'll do this, right? So the word is corres, right? So if you look at my mouth, O-A, can you see the different position that my, like the way my mouth changes? O-A, right? So that's why I say it's like muscle memory, right? Part of it is telling your mouth what to do, right? You might have it in your head, this is what it's supposed to sound like, and then the mouth doesn't, you know, that's why speaking languages is very complex, because there's so many things that are all happening at the same time. So it's like, I don't know if either of you have played baseball or golf, or maybe tennis, I would imagine is like this. Swinging a baseball bat is a very unnatural movement, you know? You don't typically, there's nothing you would do in your normal life that would cause that moment, right? So you see a baseball player that swings the bat and hits a home run, and you're like, oh, that looks really easy, right? And then you try and go do it, and you miss the ball completely. Or like me for golf, I've played golf a couple of times, and I don't know how I even do this, but the ball goes backwards when I hit it.
Oh, that's terrifying.
Talk about some bad muscle memory. Like, I have zero muscle. I do not understand what is supposed to happen. I'm good at putt-putt, but with regular clubs, the ball goes backwards. So I have no idea how I do that. So that's the physiological thing that's happening in your face, because you have all these muscles in your face. And if you're not, you know, when we're learning a new language, sometimes in your head, it's completely clear, And then it's just the mouth and the tongue and all this stuff that isn't cooperating. So that's why I say isolate those vowels. O, e. Corres.
Corres. Corres.
So let's try that one again.
Okay. Corres en el parque cada día.
Muy bien.
No corro en el parque cada día. ¿Aprendes español ahora?
Sí, aprendo español ahora. ¿Vives en una casa o en un apartamento?
Vivo en una casa. ¿Escribes un correo electrónico cada día?
Sí, escribo correo electrónico cada día. ¿Recibes correo basura?
So again, so we've got o, e, o. Correo.
Correo.
You're adding another R here that doesn't go there. Correo.
Sure am. Correo. Correo. Okay. ¿Recibes correo basura demasiado?
Sí, recibo correo basura demasiado. ¿Discutes con tus colegas mucho?
Let's see. No. No discuto con mi colegas mucho.
Mis colegas.
Mis.
And is that just colleagues?
Colleagues, yeah.
Okay.
Muy bien. Bien, tenemos vocabulario nuevo. Everything here has to do with communication, right? Repiten. Hablar.
Hablar.
Charlar.
Charlar.
Platicar.
Platicar.
Comunicar.
Comunicar.
Escuchar. Discutir.
Discutir.
Escribir.
Escribir.
Recibir.
Recibir.
Muy bien. Okay. Platicar. Margaret.
Yo platico. Oh, sorry. Me again. Tú platicas.
Yo charlo. Tú charlas.
Yo comunico. Tú comunicas.
Yo escucho. Tú escuchas.
Número 1, Margaret.
Tú hablas por teléfono el domingo.
Yo charlo por Facebook con mis amigos.
Tú platicas por WhatsApp cada día.
Tú comunicas por mensajes de texto demasiado.
¿Qué significa mensajes?
Mensajes, messages. So mensajes de texto, text messages.
Yo escribo por correo electrónico.
Yo escucho las noticias por la radio.
Tú discutes por teléfono.
Yo recibo una carta por correo.
Okay, muy bien.
Correo. I don't know some words. Sorry.
5 vowel sounds. A, E, I, O, U. Just as long as you work on memorizing those sounds.
Correo.
So you're trying to say corri. It's corre.
Corre.
O.
It's ere. Okay. Correo.
Correo. Está bien. Okay, so here we're talking about communication. And you know, in the first few lessons, I was really big on teaching you how to study vocabulary, right? Learning word for word, what things are. And that works for probably 95% of the language. Every now and then we come across something that just doesn't translate very well, or it could have multiple meanings. And this word por is the nightmare of many Spanish students because it doesn't translate well, right? It's a connector word that just connects one part of a sentence with the other. And so it just doesn't work the same way that it does in English here. So sometimes it's better to study a word like this by a use case versus an actual meaning or a definition. If you were to make a flashcard with the word por, on the back of it, you could write on, by, or in, right? But at the end of the day, we're using this to connect a communicative verb with communicative content, right? So like on the phone, tú hablas por teléfono el domingo. You talk on the phone on Sunday. Número 4, tú comunicas por mensajes de texto demasiado would be you communicate by way of text message too much, right? Or in the mail, número 8, yo recibo una carta por correo, in the mail, right? So it's just a use case. We'll continue to work on words like this a lot. Conversationally, you try to listen to the cues that you hear in the conversation.
Mhm.
And if somebody asks you a question with por, then you would probably answer it with por as well. Okay. This isn't to actually teach you this word because this word requires a lot of study. It's just to open you up to this concept today that not everything translates very well. Okay. All right, let's talk about la letra C. C can produce two unique sounds in Spanish. The first one being the hard sound, which sounds like our K, right? For example, repeat after me. Carro,
Carro,
Colorado,
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 Cuba.
Cuba.
Okay.
Cuba.
So that is if it's followed by an A, O, or U, okay? It produces the soft sound if it's followed by an A or E, right? Like cerveza,
Cerveza,
ciencia.
Ciencia.
Muy bien. Colorado, did you know that's actually a Spanish word?
I did not.
I actually learned that just the other day. Yeah.
It means red,
Yeah.
red. So, you know, Colorado used to be a part of Mexico some, 200 years ago, right? Everything from Texas over to California was at one point part of Mexico and originally settled by the Spanish. So Colorado is actually a Spanish word meaning red, right? The Spanish got here and saw the big red rocks and stuff. Colorado. All right. Take turns asking each other questions, okay, using the prompts that you see here. So remember, conversationally, you ask a question in the tú form, and then you answer it in the yo form. Margaret to Kaylee, número 1, por teléfono.
Hablas por teléfono?
Sí, hablo por teléfono. Is that how I would answer?
Exacto.
Okay. Bailas en el parque?
Sí, bailo en el parque. Sí. Viajar en las montañas.
So you have to do something to viajar.
Viajas en las montañas.
Exacto.
Viajas. Viajas.
Viajas.
Viajas.
Sí, viajo en las montañas. B and ER, so ES. Bebes cerveza?
No bebo cerveza. Let's see. Tomas ron?
So ¿qué significa tomar? What is tomar?
Tomar is to
Tomar.
drink.
To drink. Okay. Sí, tomo ron. Una mesa. So, how? So that would be, what would be like, I couldn't ask. Like discuties una mesa para tu familia. Like, do you argue at the table with your family? What would be the word that I would use?
So una mesa para tu familia means a table for your family. A table for, what can you do with a table for your family? Discutir doesn't work there.
No. I don't.
The best one is
say.
reservar. Do you reserve a table for your family?
Oh, okay. So reservas una mesa para tu familia.
Sí, reservo una mesa para mi familia.
Muy bien.
Entradas. Oh, sí. ¿Comes entradas?
Entradas, tickets.
It could be tickets, and this, without more context, it would probably mean appetizers, but it could mean tickets.
Okay. So,
But she's not asking you if you're eating.
if I'm eating tickets. Yeah. That's why I was confused. I was like, I don't know what this is. Sí, comí.
How do you say I?
Yo como.
There you go.
Yo como entradas. What is
Dessert.
dessert? Postre.
Postre.
Comas postre.
Come?
Comes postre.
Sí, como postre. Let's see. ¿Escribas mucho?
Escribes.
¿Escribes mucho?
Sí, escribo mucho. Bailas poco.
Sí, bailo poco.
Muy bien. Siguen. Keep going.
Let's see. ¿Tomas vino?
Sí, tomo vino. ¿Hablas español?
Sí, hablo español. Sí. ¿Caminas en el gimnasio?
No camino en el gimnasio. So algo interesante.
Something interesting.
¿Lees algo interesante?
Sí, leo algo interesante. Sí. ¿Vives en la calle?
No vivo en la calle. Let's see. ¿Bebes 8 vasos de agua?
Bebes.
Sí, yo bebo 8 vasos de agua. I don't see that on there. How about ordenas la comida italiana?
Sí, ordeno la comida italiana. Sí. Por la mañana. Corres por la mañana.
No corro por la mañana. ¿Comes carne?
No como carne. Comes dulces?
Dulces.
Dulces.
That
No,
soft C we just talked about. Dulces.
Dulces.
no como dulces.
Muy bien. One more round.
Let's see. Vivo in Denver. Vives in Denver.
Ahí está.
Sí, vivo en Denver. ¿Les poesía?
Poesía.
Oh. No leo poesía. Let's see. ¿Escribes correo electrónico?
Sí, escribo. No, I mean, I guess that would be email, right? So sí, escribo correo electrónica. Correo. Basura. ¿Qué significa basura?
Trash.
Trash.
So when you put it together with correo basura, it means junk mail.
Junk mail. Okay. Les correo basura.
No leo correo basura. Let's see. ¿Bailas en una casa?
Sí, bailo en una casa. En un, or
Una
I would
casa.
say una casa, or would I say mis casa? Or just a house?
You could say mi casa,
Mi
vivo en
casa.
mi, but pro tip, the answer is in the question, right? So
Okay.
yeah, that's where you're gonna make mistakes when you start changing things up.
Yeah.
Technically, the question is, do you live in a house, right? So corresponding with the question, yes, I live in a house, like a house versus an apartment, right? You could technically say, sí, vivo en mi casa, I live in my house, but that's where you might make a mistake, right? For to kind of simplify the conversational process, everything you need is in the question, typically.
Okay. So ES, could I say aprendes de tu trabajo?
Sí, aprendo de mi trabajo. Una carta de amor. Una carta de amor. No entiendo.
Una carta de amor, a love letter.
Oh, okay. ¿Recibes una carta de amor?
Sí, sometimes recibo una carta de amor. Cerca, near? Cerca de la escuela. Oh, so vives cerca de la escuela?
Sí, vivo cerca de la escuela. ¿Lees un libro?
Sí, leo un libro. Let's see. ¿Bailas con tu amor?
Sí, bailo con mi amor.
Ok, vamos con los días de la semana. Empezando with the sad face, right? That's got to be Monday. Repiten el lunes,
El lunes,
El lunes.
el martes,
el
El
martes,
martes.
el miércoles,
El miércoles.
El jueves,
el jueves,
El jueves.
el viernes,
el viernes,
Viernes.
el sábado,
el sábado,
el domingo.
El domingo.
Okay, muy bien. Fíjense, I told you that I would point out when we came across a word that ended with a that was masculine. And here we have one. Dia, day, is masculine. It ends with an a, but it's a masculine word. That's why it's el dia or los días. And that's why we have the article el before all of the days of the week. Okay? Take turns asking each other these questions.
Sorry. You want me to go?
Yeah, I'll go. ¿Qué día es hoy?
Hoy es jueves. Do I have to say el? No. I don't say the Thursday.
You don't have to know. Not here.
Okay. ¿Te gustan los lunes?
No me gusta los lunes. ¿Cuál es tu día favorito?
Mi día favorito es viernes. ¿Cuál es tu día menos preferido?
Preferido.
Tu día,
Mi día.
mi día menos preferido. E-E-I-O. Preferido.
Good.
Es martes.
Very
Hate Tuesdays. It's the worst.
Very good. Okay. So again, not everything translates, right? Spanish does not use the word on before a day. This is kind of weird. It uses the word the, right? It uses the article el before a day. If it's a singular upcoming event, you put el before the day. If it's a reoccurring event, you say los before the day to say like every Monday. So take turns asking each other these questions now.
¿Tomas café los lunes?
Sí, tomo café los lunes. ¿Trabajas los martes?
Sí, trabajo los martes. ¿Estudias español los miércoles?
Sí, estudio español los miércoles. ¿Esquías los jueves?
No esquío los jueves. ¿Tomas cerveza los viernes?
Sí, tomo cerveza los viernes. ¿Bailas los sábados?
No bailo los sábados. ¿Trabajas los domingos?
No trabajo los domingos.
Okay, let's go up to 31 so we can learn how to say the dates today. Okay, repiten. 11.
11,
12.
12,
12,
13.
13,
13,
14.
14,
14,
15.
15,
15,
16.
16,
16,
17.
17,
17,
18.
18,
19.
19.
Right? So you have two patterns here, one that goes from 11 to 15, and then the other one that goes from 16 to 19. The 20s are slightly irregular in Spanish. We won't get into the full detail today, but for now, just look at the base number. 20 is 20, ending with an A. When we add the number 1 to say 21, 22, etc., we change the A to an E, 20. And then it's just a matter of counting 1, 2, 3 up to 10, right? 21, 22, 23. Okay. Once we hit 30, it's 30 with an A, and then it's 31. Kind of turns into 3 separate words there, right? So today I'm just going up to 31 so that we can talk about dates. Here we have los meses del año, the months of the year. And these are pretty easy because they're cognates. Repiten. Enero.
Enero,
Febrero.
febrero,
Marzo.
marzo,
Abril.
abril,
Mayo.
mayo,
Mayo,
Junio.
junio,
julio,
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 agosto,
agosto,
septiembre,
septiembre,
octubre,
octubre,
noviembre,
noviembre,
diciembre.
diciembre.
Okay. So this isn't my calendar, so I in no way benefit from this, but this is just a fun thing that I still do it to this day. I really like this calendar. So you can buy a wall calendar and you can also buy like a desktop calendar if you prefer. But just me as a teacher trying to think of ways for my students to really get into the habit of making Spanish a part of their daily routine. I like these wall calendars. So I'm going to send this over to you in the chat. And this is from last year, actually. I need to update this for this year. But it's only like 15 bucks, 20 bucks, something like that. And it's just, you know, they have new Spanish words for every day of the week, every day of the year, right? So it's just a kind of fun way to wake up, look at the calendar and, oh, here's a new Spanish word I'm going to learn today. Anything you can do to make Spanish a part of your daily routine will help you to get to fluency faster. So check out
my
one
kids
of
are getting tired of the sticky notes. My son's like, Mom, there's sticky notes stuck to my clothes.
So happy to hear that. But it helps, right? It makes you think about it every time you see it. Every time you see it. By the way, Kaylee, if you don't know the backstory, Margaret hired me, what, 2 weeks ago to teach her how to speak Spanish before her trip to Costa Rica next week.
Well, knowing that wouldn't happen, but that long term will be returned there. So maybe next year I'll be able to actually, you know, speak.
But I love it. The sticky notes are great, right? Because it's really everything around the house. You need to learn how, like, especially, you know, if you're moving to Costa Rica or if you're going to Costa Rica, you need to know everything, right? Everything in your surroundings. You just have to know how to say it, right? The more you know how to say, the more it'll help you. So those sticky notes are fun because it's just, you know, you come down to sit down to go to work and on your computer, there's a sticky note that says La Computadora. That triggers something in your head that helps, you know, your brain is made up of all these neurological pathways and neurons and stuff like that. And so these are just little things to incorporate it. And that's why I like this calendar as well. So get it if you want to, you don't have to get it, but I highly recommend it, you know. And it's kind of fun, and I like the pictures in it. It'll inspire you to go travel in the Spanish-speaking world for sure. All right, when we say the date, like everything, it's backwards. So, you know, we would say today is November 22nd. In Spanish, you would say the 22nd of November, right? So, hoy es el 22 de noviembre. Notice that the word el comes before 22, and the word de comes before the month, right? Next thing you should know about dates is that they're typically, we typically use regular numbers in Spanish. And the reason why I'm saying that is because in English, we typically use what's called an ordinal number, the first, the second, the third, the fourth. So the great news is you don't really have to learn all those just yet, right? Except for the first day of the month. The first is el primero. Hoy es el primero de noviembre. So the first is el primero. After that, you use the regular numbers. El dos, el tres, el cuatro. Okay, so take turns with these questions.
¿Cuál es la fecha de hoy?
Do I say la fecha? La fecha de hoy es, what is it? Es la 3 de...
El tres.
El 3 de marzo.
Muy bien.
¿Cuál es la fecha de ayer?
Yesterday.
Yep, muy bien.
¿Cuál es?
So you don't answer with cuál es. You could just say la fecha de ayer.
La fecha de ayer es 2 de marzo. El 2 de marzo.
Muy bien.
¿Cuál es la fecha de mañana?
La fecha de mañana es el 4 de marzo. ¿Cuándo es tu cumpleaños?
Mi cumpleaños es el 11 de febrero.
Muy bien.
¿Cuál es la fecha de tu día feriado favorito?
No sé. ¿Qué significa feriado?
Sí, día feriado is a holiday.
Okay.
So it's the date of your favorite holiday.
La fecha de mi día feriado es el 25 de diciembre.
Muy bien.
¿Cuál es la fecha de tu aniversario?
La fecha de mi aniversario es 24, el 24 de noviembre.
Okay, muy bien. Cool. So we're going to stop right here for